Hello and welcome in. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. Become a diehard. Go PHNX.com. Pick up a free hat and or shirt every single year. Check out the elusive, the exclusive number 18 collection at GoPHNX.com. There it is. MHJ, little Maserati, doing some grade school math on the far right-hand side. The hottest collection at the merchandise locker is the 18 collection. I'm Johnny Venerable. He is my co-host to my right, Mr. Brack. We've got Damon, Dawg behind the mic today. And on top of talking about number 18, we're going to talk about how many dubs and losses the Arizona Cardinals may endure in 2024, Bo.
That's right. Doesn't the 18 collection sound so highbrow? It's like, I was perusing the 18 collection recently. Yes. I invested into the 18 collection and got myself my wardrobe in a good spot. Love it. The 18 collection. I love that. I see Jake the Snake in the chat saying it's his first time joining the chat as a diehard. Also
welcome, friend.
An email. Yeah, my email is always open, Bo at GoPHNX.com. Ray telling me as a diehard. It's exciting. And hopefully you guys spend your t-shirt allotment wisely on one of the 18 collection. My personal choice, my fave, the MHJT.
Cardi D, our guy, just copped the 1 + 18 = 6. Cardi D, friend of the program. Let's just kick it off. He's got back-to-back super chats today. Diehard till I dine signed up today. Hell yes, Cardi D. Hashtag birthday gang. Hashtag
welcome.
Hold the line. Cardi D's putting together a nice wardrobe of some PHNX Cardinals merch. You absolutely love to see that. Cardi D, we can't wait to see you at future events here in the Valley. Repping PHNX, repping the Bird Gang. Love it, my friend.
Yeah, down in the ATL, right? Is that, if I'm correct?
Mm-hmm.
Cardi D repping the C Red, B Red, or Rise Up Red CT there.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Cardi D keeps it going here. Has been looking forward to the show all day. PHNX, fist pound, emojis. Yeah, me too. I mean, I've been hearing a lot of schedule predictions, and I was a little jealous that we had to hold off until 4:30. It was a long wait, but the wait is over. We're going to get into our full game-by-game Arizona Cardinals 2024 slate predictions.
Yeah, and before we do that, I just want to say full transparency. I see a lot of people out there saying the Cardinals got screwed by the league. Their schedule is too difficult. What's going on with this team? That's twofold. Number one, they knew their opponents before yesterday. They just got the order. Number two, they knew who they were playing. And then they play in the NFC West. I'm sorry, this is not the NFC South. This is not, certain times the NFC North or whatever. This is a difficult division with Hall of Fame level coaches and emphasis on quality teams. San Francisco, LA, and Seattle are consistently in the postseason mix, maybe even in the Super Bowl mix. Anytime that you're in that division with those coaches and that personnel, it's tough. It makes life tough. It's why a lot of people don't take the Cardinals seriously this year. So you're going to have to compete in your division. You draft for your division. They drafted for their division. So we knew the teams before yesterday, and everybody now wants to bail on this team. It's it's a long season, guys, as we saw last year.
Well, and always you see it every year, right? Some cellar dwellers, some teams that are zeros that turn into heroes because of how the league is set up. It's a cap league. Obviously, the benefit of being a bottom feeder is you get great draft picks, and often we see players come in from the collegiate level and make an impact, several of them. So the fourth place schedule, maybe it doesn't mean what it used to, right? And especially when you've got kind of the divisions that you face outside of your own kind of switching up each and every year, and you face one like the AFC East, which has some, as you mentioned, some contenders in it, and one right out of the gates, and the Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins. And then you've got, you look at some of the other opponents that are going to, we'll get into the schedule a little bit more in depth, but the Chargers and the Bears that, were in the top 10 this year, where you really have to appreciate what they've done this offseason, Bears roster-wise, and of course having the top pick. It was gift wrapped to them from a trade they pulled off last offseason with the Carolina Panthers. And then Jim Harbaugh, the addition to the Chargers organization, and them doing things a little bit different. And can he unlock Justin Herbert? So, those games where you got top 10 drafting teams from the previous season, they aren't as bad as they once were. And that's unfortunate, but they were fourth place teams. I mean, outside of you're playing the NFC North, that's why you're playing the Bears, but the Chargers was a fourth place game.
Chris, $4.99 super chat. I'm in Indiana going to preseason week 2. Can't wait to rep the MHJ merch. Let's go. Love it, Chris. Thank you so much. $4.99 super chat. Love the avatar too. Can't wait to see Marv in the all red Cardinal unis. Can't wait to see you.
Any recommendations, food recs for our guy in Indy, Johnny, especially at Lucas Oil Stadium? You
Hooters? Maybe Hooters action?
The apps are terrific at a certain steakhouse that's may or may not be called St. Elmo.
What about you had a dog choice at Lucas Oil itself? Didn't you have yourself a nice brat?
Yeah, I did, and I put some barbecue sauce on it, and I haven't heard the end of it.
James.
I worry that other people are just too worried about what I'm eating to let's focus on the task at hand, and that's Chris having a great time at Lucas Oil. And Chris, guess what? I think we're hearing tea leaves are telling us that the Cardinals are going to be there all week with the Colts practicing in the preseason. So we're feeling pretty good about that. But Shane Diefenbach makes his way into the studio today.
He was fired up about hearing me say Hooters. He was like, Hooters sucks.
You know what sucks, Shano? Your precious Seahawks. We're going to get to that here in a little bit. That's what sucks.
We already kicked him out of the studio. Don't worry, Johnny. We said scram.
He threw stuff on his way out too. You see that?
He did. Yeah, it was an embarrassing performance. He let his emotions get the best of him. It's embarrassing.
All right. So from eating at Hooters to eating on the schedule here, how many dubs are the Arizona Cardinals finna to eat in 2024? I will defer to my gracious co-host to kick us off. If you remember last year, I think I said before we do this, 7 wins and got chastised for it. I think you were at right around 6.
I was in 5 or 6 for sure. And that was with us being optimistic when Kyler Murray was going to return to the lineup, right? Remember we were talking like mid-October? Yeah, and then the waiting game began. Little did we know. You know what I want to do, Damon? Is beautiful as these graphics are, I want to go through my schedule first so people who are watching on YouTube don't see my full win-loss, and then you can present it to them after I go through it. Does that work for everybody or no? Is that just a terrible idea?
What are the rules on this show?
I want to say what I predict the games, all of them, and then once I'm done, you drop. You can then people can see the full predictions.
Yeah, let me just get the actual schedule untouched first. Okay, I'll get that ready to go for us.
Okay. I'm throwing them curveballs, and I apologize, but I want it to be dramatic. You gotta bring it up a little bit.
Should we go back and forth game by game?
Ooh, I kind of like that. I
have good ideas sometimes. Jeremy Bailey, $2 super
Damon's got to hear him like happen in real time instead of us, being organized and presenting a show idea.
Listen, we put a lot of prep in the show normally here, but today it was just like schedule predictions. Jeremy, $2 super chat. First game with MHJ and the IC Whites in Buffalo.
Yeah,
I mean, that's maybe. I actually low-key love Buffalo's uniforms. I love the white helmet. I love the all blue. I think that's going to be the best uniform game to hit the NFL streets week 1, Bo.
That's I like that. That's not a hot take. That's just a solid take right there, and I can appreciate one of those. We want to get this one, and I like his profile pic. It's Johnny pretending to tear up. How about Coach Gusto? Going to the Cards versus Panthers game, December 22nd. Have y'all seen K1? He's ripped. Best quarterback in the NFC West. Cards, 12-5. I love it, Coach. Enjoy your time in Charlotte. Cardinals, it's been outside of the 2022 season where the Cardinals, they didn't get a whole lot of wins, only 4 of them that season. That was one of the ones they kind of got handily. And that was the end of the Matt Rule era for Carolina Panthers. But before that, it was a tough place for the Cardinals to go play some football. Hopefully they'll maybe start a new trend here under Jonathan Gannon.
Can I just say, too, even the biggest staunch critics of the Cardinals, locally, media, have this team around 500, 7, 8, 9 wins. Like, I've seen that consistently. So when Coach Gusto's like 12-5, like, yeah, that's an extreme. But we can get our arms around it because, listen, at the end of the day, you've got a quarterback in Kyler Murray that we've seen play at an MVP clip. And if you get that player, all bets are off. You're able to be competitive each and every Sunday. So I just, as difficult as this schedule may be on the front end, I'm loving the positive vibes with everybody as it relates to the schedule, because when we did this show last year, I felt like I was on an island talking about, I think they can get to 7 wins because I thought K1 was going to come back about 4 to 6 weeks into the season. We had intel that he didn't want to go on PUP, so yes. Did they only win 4? Should they have won 6 or 7? Absolutely. Should have beaten Seattle, should have beaten the Giants, should have beaten the Commanders, probably should have beaten, Seattle in Seattle, should have beaten the Houston Texans. There are a lot of winnable games that they didn't win. Now, they fumbled some games. They got torched by a couple division rivals, but I hope at the end of this year, we're talking about a bunch of close games that they won, because they didn't have too many last year like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, we're getting into we've got every game spread going into the 2024 season. I was looking at last year's. There's a stark difference between what the odds makers think of this Cardinals team now and what they thought of it back then. We'll get into that a little bit later, but let's start to predict this Arizona Cardinals 2024 schedule, starting with week 1 on the road. As we mentioned, Orchard Park against the Buffalo Bills. Big time expectations for Josh Allen, Sean McDermott and crew. But Johnny, I'll start off here. I can't think of a more volatile team in the NFL to open the season in the Buffalo Bills. I think that they are a bit in flux right now. A brand new receiving room. You got rid of Stephon Diggs. You got rid of, you fired your offensive coordinator mid-season last year, and you brought in Joe Brady, who was just a tremendous failure, his first stint in Carolina. And then you brought in a new defensive coordinator. So, not a lot of experience as far as your lead assistant coaches for Sean McDermott. And you lose Diggs, as I mentioned. You lose Mitch Morse at the center position, very consistent there. And then Jordan Poyer and Tre'Davious White, who I know is oft injured, but still one of your better defensive secondary members. I'm looking at, a 7-point spread where the Bills are favored. And it's like, I think almost to an extent, the wrong team might be favored in this game.
I'm going to just call spade a spade. I've been saying this for 2 days. I think Cardinals win this game. I think they win it, and I think it's one of those games where, Josh Allen's going to put on a Superman cape, and he's going to run around. He probably has a couple rushing touchdowns, but he's also prone to turn the ball over early and often during the NFL season. Remember last year how mid the Buffalo Bills looked, and they've now subtracted talent. Like, I like Keon Coleman, but Keon Coleman is your number 1 receiver to open the season. The defense that I thought got worse as the year went on, and you're relying on old Von Miller to be your number 1 option as a pass rusher. I think it's a great opening game for the Cardinals to fly in under the radar. I think if the more you dissect this game, who has more talent offensively? Cardinals. Who has more, I would say, talent in their back 7? Arizona Cardinals. Jalen Thompson, Budda Baker, Kazir White. Buffalo has the quarterback edge, but it's not huge if Kyler Murray plays to his capability. And they've got probably better experienced defensive tackle play. That to me is like flip a coin. This is going to be a 1-possession game entering the 4th quarter. The Buffalo Bills love to screw around in the month of September. They absolutely love it. Last year, they looked so dejected against a bad Jets team that lost their quarterback the first possession. Their special teams haven't been good. As you've mentioned, the Cardinals are playing with house money. Nobody expects anything. Then you got Sean McDermott. It's a make or break year for Sean McDermott. If you're not in, I would say, the AFC Championship game, you are getting fired. Your window is officially closed. Whereas we knock Tua and Miami left and right, but they've got mojo. They're in the playoffs every year. So this is the Cardinals' opportunity, just like in 2020, just like in 2021, huge road dog coming out with a dub. It is due time. They don't do well as a home favorite to open up the year, but when they get to go on the road against the team, they opened up against the NFC champion Super Bowl Niners in 2020 with a better team, a much better team, and they smoked them. Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins beat that team by themselves. Kliff Kingsbury outdueled Kyle Shanahan. It was pandemic football in 2020, but it happened. Go look it up. Cardinals could very much do the same thing to Buffalo.
Very easily. Bobby Babich, their new DC, unless he somehow is the next coming of Bill Belichick, his defensive mindset, out of the gates. I like the Cardinals' continuity in their coaching staff. Drew Petzing versus, a brand new coordinator for the Buffalo Bills. So give me the Cardinals week 1 over the Buffalo Bills. Let's go on and Johnny's got the same. Let's go on to week 2. And if we're feeling the same against the division rival Los Angeles Rams at State Farm Stadium.
Yeah, this is tough. I'm going to say this until it happens. I need to see it with my eyes. I need to see somebody slay the dragon that is Sean McVay. Like, I give Kliff a lot of grief on the show. He beat Sean McVay in Los Angeles. It's a tough thing to do. The Cardinals were not competitive against the Rams last year. Their worst outings of the year were against the LA Rams. Now, Aaron Donald was just a nightmare player for a lot of teams and a lot of players, but especially Kyler Murray, given the size disadvantage, Aaron Donald, the pressure from the interior. Like, I like the draft for the Rams. They added 2 front 7 players. Like, you're not going to get instant production for Aaron Donald. I think as much as I'm skeptical of this game, it's a good time to face them because they're probably having a lot of transition up front. They are defensively. So I don't feel good about it, though. At the end of the day, like, I think the Rams, who a lot of people sold stock on last year and they made the postseason, the Rams to me are the favorites in this division. I think they're the favorites or co-favorites in the NFC. I think that much of Sean McVay. And, Puka Nacua, who do the Cardinals have that can hang with him? It's going to be very difficult. So I would love the Cardinals to start 2-0. I just don't see it. I think they dropped this game week 2 against McVay and Matthew Stafford.
This is a game where you can start to change the narrative around this organization. Now, it's not following Jonathan Gannon, even though he went 0-2 against the Rams last year, but you need to at some point start to change the narrative that you can win games in the NFC West. You can beat Sean McVay, because Kliff Kingsbury really never did that. No. Kyler Murray has struggled, in his entire career against this team, but also it's as he joked when Aaron Donald retired, don't come back, basically. With Fisk being at it, with the kid out of Jared Verse out of FSU, like, they're rebuilding the defense, but I see this as an opportunity. Your home opener under Jonathan Gannon, I think that this is a big time to get a W. I think that the Cardinals get that. Now, are they going to play a little bit above, what we should anticipate seeing the rest of the season? I hope it starts to kind of set the tone for that. But I think this is a big opportunity for them to get the win. Don't think I'm just guzzling down the Cardinals Kool-Aid because I've got them 2-0, but that's what I have here.
Usually that's me. Usually people are calling me fanboy, homer boy. And
right.
I've seen too much of Sean McVay and his dominance over this team. Like, I'm confident Gannon and Kyler can do it eventually. The Rams are a good team. They have a really good infrastructure, and their strength outside of Puka and Stafford is the line of scrimmage play. They've got a stout interior offensive line, and I still have question marks about the Arizona Cardinals' ability to consistently stop the run. Darius Robinson's going to be in his only second game. They have some turnover. Like, I need to see it to believe it.
What would you prefer from that Rams offense? Would you rather force Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, and Puka to beat you, or would you rather them ground and pound?
Yeah,
it's like pick your poison.
Sean McVay wants to run the football. I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions. He's always run it successfully with Todd Gurley and now, the Kerwin Williams and a bunch of guys they have. So to me, it's like they always successfully run it on the Cardinals. The only time they really haven't is, can the Cardinals jump out to a big lead against the Rams and the Cardinals make the Rams one-dimensional? Like, that could happen. That's probably the way to beat them. And then you leave Stafford susceptible to pressure. But again, like, Cardinals don't have, an edge rusher of note to be able to blitz to be able to win one-on-one off the edge. So again, somebody's calling me a hater in the chat. We're literally 2 games in, and I've got them 1-1 against a team that a lot of people think has a chance to make to the Super Bowl. So yeah, Cooper Kupp, Stafford, Puka Nacua. I am a big advocate of line of scrimmage play. The Rams line of scrimmage play, even without Donald, is above average. And then you've got an A+ coach and what I think is a B+, A- QB. It's really tough for Arizona. It just is. McVay has the Cardinals number until he does it.
All right. Well, so I've got the Cards getting the dub. You've got the Cardinals taking the first loss of the season. Moving on to week 3, talking about controlling the line of scrimmage. Detroit Lions coming to town September 22nd. Jared Goff, you got Man Campbell, you've got a stout running game, you got a rock solid defense, good pass rush, added some nice pieces through the draft. What do you like as far as Lions v. Cardinals in Glendale?
I had this as a win, and then I changed it. I think this is a really tough back to here. Here's what I'll say. not very eloquently. Buffalo doesn't have an identity offensively. The Cardinals are going to take advantage of that. They're going to have all offseason to prep for that. The Rams and the Lions want to run it 40 times a game right at Arizona. They want to work off of play action. I worry about the Cardinals' ability to pressure Jared Goff, just like Stafford, and I worry about the vaunted run game, Jahmyr Gibbs, and what he could do to Arizona. Laporta, and they have too many good players. Now, I think there might be a little bit of a lull for the Detroit Lions, given that they have a lengthy postseason run for the first time in franchise history. How are they going to handle that? Mm-hmm. There could be a hangover effect, and if that's the case, you want to play them early. They just have better players. I think the Cardinals have Lions vibes, but I think they're 4 to 6 weeks away from really cashing in on that. So as much as I think this game's going to be close. I don't know if the Rams game, they're never close, so I can't say it will be. Cardinals are going to have a close game with the Detroit Lions. Detroit, though, Penei Sewell and company, there's too much there. Aiden Hutchinson, the Cardinals don't have their own version of that. The Lions just keep doubling and tripling down on good drafts, good personnels. They stole their top corner this year in Terrion Arnold. I think that it's a close loss. Arizona falls to 1-2.
Yeah, I mean, look, people point to the Lions as the blueprint that the Cardinals should follow, right? And just how they should go about their rebuild. And the Lions just happen to be just a little bit further down the road, right? They went from a team that was rebuilding, restarted things. They had a tough season for year one, and then next season made some noise, and then it did exactly what they needed to do to follow that one up by going to the playoffs and winning a game. And now it's the next step. They're looking for the next step, and that roster's geared up towards it. I think they can do what Arizona Cardinals want to do just a little bit better. Also, little note for you. Jared Goff lost his first career start against the Arizona Cardinals, hasn't lost since. He's 8-0 since then. He doesn't lose to the Cardinals, unfortunately. Jared Goff and his brand new $53 million per year contract. He unfortunately are the Cardinals' daddy. I've got the Cards losing this game. So people accusing me of gulping and guzzling the Kool-Aid. There's your first loss for me in the 2024 season.
So Bo has them 2-1. I've got them 1-2. And again, this is where I think
you're a hater.
Yeah, big haterade. Listen, can they hover around 500 until the bye? We're going to talk about that. Let's look at some of these chats. Cards first win against Kliff and company. Goff is mid. Goff claps. Geez. You never know. Things are changing. Cardi D's got 3-0. Sports Heroes got 1-2. Jake the Snake, I see the Lions letdown game. We take it. I hope so. Again, we're rooting for them to win every game, but we're trying to be realistic here. Things get back on track in week 4, though. This is the close as you can get to a must-win game. Week 4, Jaden Daniels makes his return to Arizona, as does Kliff Kingsbury. Revenge game? I don't think so. The Washington Commanders come into town. The Arizona Cardinals. I'm just going to sneak this in right now. The Cardinals are favored in this game, -2 already. Cardinals win this game by a touchdown. This is a blowout game. This is a get-right game for Kyler Murray if he needs it. Dan Campbell's defense. Listen, I like Dan Campbell well enough. He turned down the Cardinals' opportunity to do a second interview. Washington doesn't have the horses defensively. They traded away all their good players on their front seven defensive line. I think offensively, Jaden Daniels is going to have a rude awakening in the NFL. I think his play style could lend himself to not get off to a fast start. I think it's going to be difficult because what we saw from Jaden Daniels early at LSU, there was an adjustment period, and then he got cooking. And I think he's going to be good eventually. Mm-hmm. But I think Cardinals getting him in the first month, that's exactly when you want Jaden Daniels. Again, the end of the first month where maybe he's starting to wear down a little bit. Maybe he's hanging at his head. Maybe the team's not very good. They could be 0-3 to start the year. Cardinals get a dub. They draw even at 2-2, Bo, against the team right now that I'm telling you, Washington's going to have a long year.
They are, and Jaden Daniels might be dead by week 4.
Okay.
I'm looking at the offensive line. I'm looking at one of the worst offensive lines in the league.
And he has a tendency to get smoked, too.
He does. He is not Kyler Murray where he's elusive and is able to avoid getting squared up. Jaden Daniels might be dead by this game.
He like propellers in the air.
He might get sawed in half, unfortunately. Marcus Mariota could be starting by this game. Jeff Driscoll maybe by week 4. Sam Hartman could be starting by this week, just by how bad this offensive line is and how Kliff Kingsbury doesn't help his quarterbacks out by spreading out 4 wide receivers, 5 wide receivers behind Brandon Coleman playing the left tackle spot.
Not good.
Sam Cosme, Wiley. You've got the guy who's from Dallas who comes over to play the center position. The guy who went to Johnny's high school as your starting left guard, who backed up in Kansas City admirably. But is he a starter in this league?
No, he didn't go to my high school. I coached him when he was at Lincoln Way East High School. His name's Nick Algretti. He's a stud human being. And he played in the Super Bowl with a torn something. And he's a rock star. But he can't do it by himself, right? And I think he got replaced by Joe Thuney and then helped out as their 6th lineman. He's a great story. He's a 6th rounder out of Illinois. But again, Washington.
I'll tell you about
your point. Washington's got a lot of issues.
Losing to Kliff Kingsbury. Let's just say that he ain't losing to Kliff Kingsbury. Back on track, 3-1.
I also think Jonathan Gannon's not losing to a rookie quarterback this year.
Yeah.
We can book that.
Ooh,
Jonathan Gannon's beating all the rookies.
All right.
Matchups are positive for this team against rookies. Okay, so Bo and I both 2-2. We're going to keep the schedule prediction going, but I do want to tell you
I've got him at 3-1, Johnny.
You're 3-1?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah. All right. Well, all right, let's get through a third of the schedule here.
Okay.
And again, drop a like on this video, subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. It's a combative, emotional time right now because this is whatever we put down today, we got to stick with. That's what they've told us on the inner streets,
okay.
the Twitter streets. All right, so I've got them 2-2. You've got them 3-1. This is a tough spot for them. At San Francisco, that's an L. As much as I would love, listen, I would give anything for Kyler Murray to go into Santa Clara and just whoop up on San Francisco, who I think will regress this year. I think the Niners are going to regress. I think Kyler Murray is going to get his. Joshua Dobbs ate against this defense. Michael Wilson had 2 touchdowns, right? So I have issues. The opposing offenses that are going to give the Cardinals problems this year are run dominant, line of scrimmage offenses. Detroit, the Rams, the Niners. Go back and watch the Cardinals defensively. I know they've made some upgrades against the Niners last year. That game in Santa Clara, like the Niners did whatever they wanted to offensively against Cardinals have not made enough strides with edge pressure to make Brock Purdy uncomfortable. I've got this as an L. Another close game, another 4th quarter outcome. The Niners have the best roster makeup in the NFL. They just do. But they have the quarterback advantage. Kyler Murray could go and beat Brock Purdy in Santa Clara. That could happen. I don't think it does.
Yeah. I feel I'm right there with you. I mean, the Cardinals have done a good job in narrowing the talent gap, but you got one of the most talented rosters in the NFL, and it pains a lot of us to say that, but you have to be real, and that's what the 49ers are. If maybe Josh Dobbs is starting that game for the 49ers, maybe we have a different conversation, but look.
Maybe Purdy, not. That's how little I think of Brock Purdy.
Niners also have Ricky Pearsall.
They do have Ricky Pearsall as their wide receiver 3. Their wide receiver 3 or 4? That's pretty nasty. All right, so we've got the Cardinals losing that game on the road. They've got back-to-back road games as they go into historic Lambeau Field against one of the young, most talented rosters in the NFL, led by Jordan Love at quarterback.
Another L for your boy. LaFleur is an elite head coach. I think the Packers are going to be white hot to start this year. I think they have a firm identity of who they are. They added Josh Jacobs. They added some really nice defenders in the draft. I think their skill players are only going to get better. They didn't get anything from Christian Watson last year. Jordan Love's fine. I think Kyler Murray and Jordan Love are very comparable in terms of like where they're going to finish this year on the quarterback hierarchy. Mm-hmm. Green Bay's it's like Detroit. Green Bay and Detroit are just a step ahead of Arizona in their rebuild right now. Doesn't mean they all can't finish in the same spot at the end of the year.
Right.
But the Packers are just a little bit more established. And what are you seeing with these early games is the Cardinals not only are facing good teams, they're facing really good head coaches. Dan Campbell and McVay. And who are they beating? McDermott and Dan Quinn, right? They're beating the teams that I feel like they have a better head coach than. Whereas LaFleur's been to NFC championship games. McVay's won a Super Bowl, right? Shanahan's been to a million Super Bowls, blows them all. But like, that's tough, man. You can't expect when those teams have a better roster, and they do, and a better head coach, and you're playing them in their building, that's asking a lot. So I have the Cardinals dropping this game falling to what I will say, a season worst. What is it? 3 games under 500, 4 games under 500. They are, after 6 games to start this year, they go to 2-4 for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got just going on the road against the Packers, taking on a team that really impressed last year, and Jordan Love, a click for him. As he said, I think that they just, especially at home, playing host, I'll give the Packers the edge there. I got the Arizona Cardinals taking a loss. Up next, the only primetime game the Arizona Cardinals have on their schedule in 2024 against the Los Angeles Chargers, hosting Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert.
We're going to get to that. Can the Cardinals, are they ready for prime time? I'm going to tell you who is. It's our friends at Circle K and the Inner Circle, baby. If you're looking for prime time deals, look no further than America's Thirst Stop. It's the new free membership program that's going to save you 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups, then 3 cents per gallon every single day. Thirst, you've met your match. Enjoy your member exclusive beverage deal. Inner Circle members can get any size, Polar Pop or Froster for just 69 cents now through September 3rd. Find it in the App Store under Inner Circle-offers. Join the Inner Circle, Bo and Damon, today for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for more details. I was out in the squelching heat today. I stopped off. I filled up my tank, and I didn't pay a premium for premium gas. Then I went inside, got myself a 69-cent Polar Pop to hydrate, unsweetened iced tea. You gotta watch those, saturated fats and sugars. But I'm going to tell you right now, no better place than to load up on gas and premium beverages at a discounted price than Circle K.
Yeah. I'm a blue Powerade out of the vending machine type of guy. What is it?
To beat. Tough
Drink
to beat.
machine.
You got the fountain. The fountain. That's elite.
Oh, I guess that's what it's called.
Right. A little blue Powerade is actually what fuels Damon Dawg on the pickleball court. I was fortunate enough. I had 2 elite partners on the pickleball court yesterday at Chicken and Pickle Johnny. It was Leah first of the new PHNX hockey show, formerly PHNX Coyotes Forever. But we were out there ripping it up. Chicken Pickle, if you haven't checked it out, it's right out there in the shadow of State Farm Stadium. If you got some plans to go see the Cardinals play live, maybe check out Chicken and Pickle. Before then, the Glendale location, it's elite. You got cornhole, you got ping pong, battleship, bocce ball, Jenga, so much more in that delicious pickle or chicken. Actually, we're going to be eating the pickles. I guess it's rind and pickle juice, which is unbelievable. It gives it the flavor. But delicious food, clean, healthy eating. Known for their wood-fired rotisserie chicken, house ground burgers, smoky wings, tasty tots, and seasonal salads. Don't miss out. Plus the fun on the pickleball court. Check it out, chickenpickle.com. See the fun you can have in Glendale. Now, starting today, go check it out.
So many super chats. Ethan, dump it. 1 at 99. They bless me with the Rams on my B-day. I'd love
wonder which one. At home or on the road?
I'm guessing at home, Ethan.
Okay.
You'll have to let us know in the chat, but I hope I can get you a dub on your birthday. And what could be sweeter than the Rams? I think
that's why I picked them to win at week 2. Johnny doesn't want to give you that gift.
Bo's being a little bit of a jerk right now, but I will say, like, one of the best wins of Kyler Murray's career on the road in 2021, beating the Rams with Kliff Kingsbury and looking great with D-Hop and AJ Green and James Conner. It was a great day. Great day to be a Cardinal fan that day. Coach Gusto is back. 199 super chat. 8-3, 7-4 before the bye. AZ O-line play. Listen, we're all doing cartwheels and back handsprings if that happens, Coach Gusto. They'd be the talk of the league ahead of, what I think is a potential division championship. If you're 8-3, you're competing for the division. Absolutely.
Yeah. Illa Drace and the Bills D-line can't stop our running game. Yeah, that was a nice little change of pace to see what Drew Petzing, Jonathan Gannon, how they established the run last year with James Conner and those hog mollies up front. If they go in and they ground and pound and just kind of take the air out of the football against this Bills team that has Super Bowl aspirations week 1, that would be a great feeling.
I would argue that I think the passing attack is more vulnerable than their run game. I mean, they still have Ed Oliver, Von Miller, Greg Rousseau. Like, they have some decent players. The back end of their, like, they lost every corner and safety on their team, basically.
No corners and safeties, no wideouts to speak of. Peter, love this. $10 going to the Commanders game. This is painful for Bo to hear. And this middle-aged man will be rocking a Marvin Harrison Jr. jersey. Well, Peter, you rock on, my friend. And I will be repping with you all throughout the season. I will have an MHJ jersey, and my 9-year-old son will have an MHJ jersey.
Will you?
Yeah, I will.
You got to sign that.
Don't say that. Come on now. We want good vibes around MHJ's jersey.
My man. To each their own. Like, I can appreciate a beautiful looking jersey for myself. I just choose not to wear a jersey. That's all it is. That's all it is. But I way to go, Peter. You rock that jersey. You rock that jersey.
That is so disingenuous from Brack.
I mean it from the deepest regions of my heart.
How about this from Scott? $9.99 super chat. Barely discovered this channel on Monday. I've been missing out. You guys are killing it. Well, thank you so much, Scott. I appreciate that. If the Cards can start 4-6, I feel like they can get a playoff spot. It's funny you should mention that. I think, Scott, you and I are speaking the same language. But first of all, most importantly, thank you for the super chat and welcome, friend. Buckle up. We have a lot of fun here.
Do us a favor, if you haven't done already, subscribe to the channel, like this video, also tell your friends. You got Cardinals fan friends, let them know about it. We're just honored to be part of this community, talking ball each and every day, and we don't miss a moment or opportunity to talk about this football franchise. How about Baharo 3, $5 super chat? When the offseason goal is just to raise the floor, don't expect primetime games. Schedule says sure could use Snead or Wilkins, wide receiver to challenge MW.
Michael Wilson.
Listen,
Bahar, I'm with, like, they're not a finished product, and they could use more help at other positions. Absolutely. But I would say, like, look at the Packers last year. Jordan Love had proven less than Kyler Murray, and their roster had deficiencies defensively, and they didn't have proven entities all over and they made the postseason. Like, just because you're in a rebuild, just because your roster is not, fit for prime time for 6 games, doesn't matter. Like, this is the NFL. Teams turning around like that. That's the best part about this league, and I love it. And I love our other leagues, basketball and the NHL and Major League Baseball. Only in football can you turn it around this fast. Only in football.
Yeah, and we'll see if, Christian Wilkins can live up to that contract. I mean, this is a guy that signed a $100 million plus deal, play interior defensive line. Is Christian Wilkins going to be able to outproduce what the Cardinals spent, roughly $50 million combined in Justin Jones, Bilal Nichols? You would hope so. And then Darius Robinson, 27th overall, as far as how the approach they took at their defensive line. So a very lucrative deal too in his own right at the cornerback spot. It's going to be tough to live up to that hype.
Baharo, again, pressure on Drew Petzing. I agree with this. Elite to good OCs week 1 to week 9. Petzing and Kyler Murray. They got to, and I mean, to a more greater extent, Jonathan Gannon, because he's the head coach. But the offense, and we said it yesterday, Bo, has got to keep them competitive and carry them to some wins early. Yeah. If the defense is ahead of schedule, awesome. Does anybody think that's going to happen? Like, these are just too good at quarterbacks, head coaches, offensive combinations to be able to say, we're going to hold the Rams and the Lions and the Packers and these teams under 20, 25 points. So, but what we saw from the Cardinals at the end of the year gives me hope. And then they added, the number 1 player in the draft that happens to play receiver. So I'm optimistic the offense can do it.
Absolutely. No, I was not at great clips there, but let's check out. You want to get more into the schedule? Let's do it.
Yeah, let's go it. So we broke down both 6 games thus far. You have them at 3-3 through the Packer game. I am at 2-4, and now we got our lone home game with an asterisk on ESPN Plus. It's Cardinals hosting my dear friend Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert and company.
You guys, boys,
in Glendale. We are. Bo, do the Cardinals beat the Chargers on Monday Night Football?
I think this is the first opportunity for Jonathan Gannon, his crew. As Mina Kynes said, people's last kind of thought of Kyler Murray was that Monday night playoff debacle against the Rams. Of course, the 2022 season, that was a disaster too on prime time. To kind of reintroduce themselves, I don't think they're going to miss out on that opportunity. I do like what the Chargers have done this offseason, but they still are a little thin in a couple key departments, including that receiving core for Justin Herbert. And some key spots on the defensive side of the football, a little star heavy on that side of the ball. Can they stay healthy to this point in the season? I like the Cardinals at home in the ESPN Plus game on October 21st.
As do I. I think this could be an ugly game. I expect, Harbaugh and company to run the football, to try to apply pressure with Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa. I think the Cardinals just have too much talent. I think that, I like what the Chargers are doing long term. I like the selection of Joe Alt. I think Joe Alt, frankly, was a better prospect than Malik Neighbors was, and especially for what the Chargers want to do. But again, the Chargers are going to start fast because their schedule allows for it. But then I think it's going to even out a little bit. And listen, like Harbaugh and the Niners cooked immediately because the talent was already ready-made. It's not like that with the Chargers at that level. I mean, it took them a little bit to get going with Michigan, and I love Harbaugh, but like they had to get some recruiting classes in there. The Chargers roster is not talented enough. So I think the Cardinals get a dub. I think it's a very nice coming out party for JJ and Kyler Murray on the national stage. And so I have the Cardinals now clawing their way back to 3-4 after 7 games, Bo.
Absolutely. I agree with that. Albert Gagdaski says it well. Chargers won't be up to Harbaugh's standards just yet. I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. Let's continue on here. I've got him at 4-3. You've got him at what's the record?
3-4.
3-4. On the road, South Beach, end of October. Tua, Mike McDaniel. What are they going to do with the Fens?
I think they lose this game. I think this is a lot to ask of this team. Traveling out east, the longest road trip, I believe, of the year outside of Buffalo. And it's probably still going to be really hot out. And I think the Buffalo Bills present just too many challenges with their receiving core. And again, how can you make this Miami team one-dimensional and uncomfortable? You have to be able to pressure Tua. And I don't know if the Cardinals have the horses to do that. Even with, Miami losing a really good interior offensive lineman, I think the Cardinals just, unless it's a shootout and Kyler Murray can go spot for spot, which is possible, Miami's defense is going to take a step back. Fangio's gone. As you mentioned, Christian Wilkins is gone. They could take a step back as a team this year. I just think Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle and company, the Cardinals I don't know if they have the horses to compete. I think it's another close game, a close loss. So after the Cardinals scratch and claw to 3-4, I think they drop this one before the tide really turns for this team. This is 3-5 before the bye for me.
Yeah, a ton of speed there with the Dolphins. Innovative as far as the play calling on the offensive side of the football. Home game, short week, not conducive for a win for the Arizona Cardinals. I think they lose to this AFC East opponent.
Be fun for Max Melton. See how he holds up.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, Tyreek, Jalen Waddle.
But if he has a good game, like all of a sudden we're like, okay, this guy's star level player.
I don't know if he's like, he faced Marv, right? Marv, big body, wide receiver, right? Fast in his own right. But going up against, I don't think any rookie corner is prepared for Cheetah.
Well, he could also be guarding Jalen Waddle.
He could, and then it's John Murphy Bunting's job to help slow. And it's going to be
Odell.
Huge effort. Yeah.
Joshua, Damon is a Dolphins fan. And yes, Kyler is better than Tua. But I just, that's a very difficult.
I'm trying to expose Damon, and I feel like there's something behind it. I don't know why.
Closet Dolphins fan.
Let's move on to week 9 here. This is an interesting part of the schedule. And I think it started at the Chargers and goes down here to the Jets before their bye week, because it's teams that weren't necessarily successful last year, but could be threats this year and knocking on the door for playoff spot. Exclude the Dolphins really from that conversation, but really the Chargers, Bears, and Jets. And in week 9, they play host to Caleb Williams and the Bears. What are you thinking about this matchup?
This is a win, and I think this could be an ass kicking. I think the Cardinals have a revenge mindset after what happened against Chicago last year. And again, Eberflus is from the Vic Fangio tree, as is Jonathan Gannon. I think Jonathan Gannon is a much better head coach than Matty Eberflus. I think Gannon and the roster he brought to Chicago last year was maybe the least talented in the NFL, respectfully. I think the Cardinals are a better coach team than Chicago. I think they'll have more mojo going into this game at home. I think they'll make Caleb Williams' life very uncomfortable. Cardinals are going to win this game, and I think this is a blowout win for Jonathan Gannon and Kyler Murray. I'm not buying, like I buy Chicago long term. I think they got a lot of talent. Like I don't think it's close between Marv and Rome Odunze. I don't think it's close between Cole Kmet and Trey McBride, right? Yeah, they have DJ Moore, but to me, it's like Kyler Murray against Caleb Williams. We're going to see the best version of Kyler Murray, I believe, in this game.
Man, I mean, I'm a believer in Caleb Williams. I do. I think he's
I
going to
am
have
too, long term.
a great rookie season. But, going on the road early November, I think that the Arizona Cardinals have a great chance to continue to play well at home, which if you've kind of been following along with my schedule and predictions, that's what I expect from them. A lot better play in front of the Red Sea, because the head coach is going to demand that from his team. And I think that they get this win against a young Bears team that I'm buying, but not to an extent, right? I think that they're not going to be that far ahead of schedule with those stars that you outlined. I think the Cardinals get the win at home in Week 9, go against the host, the Jets, in Week 10, just before their bye week.
We talk about Washington being a must-win. This game against the Jets is a must-win. I think that the Jets are the biggest fraud in the NFL. I think it's disgusting that the league gave them 6 games on national TV. I think their
That's
roster
true. Very true, Johnny. It is
Damon.
disgusting. Do you have to prove anything in the last, 30, 40, 50 years of football, or do you just have to be in New York to get a bunch of primetime games?
I would argue like the only team that was less watchable than the Carolina Panthers last year were the New York Jets. And
they're unwatchable every year.
Did anybody watch Aaron Rodgers the year that he just plateaued in Green Bay? He was unwatchable. He's terrible. This is a must win for the Cardinals. And again, I think it's the perfect win to go into the bye week, because I think they throttle the Jets. I think Nate Hackett is one of the biggest frauds in the NFL. They tried to replace him this offseason. They couldn't find anybody to take the job. They basically wanted to have co-offensive coordinators, assistant to the assistant regional manager in Chicago. And then you talk about Robert Saleh. I mean, the poor bastard, you sold your soul for Aaron Rodgers. It's a disaster. I don't even know if Rodgers will be healthy for this game, by the way. I'm not buying it. Like, their offensive line is piecemealed together. I know they drafted the kid out of Penn State, Olu Fashanu, big deal. That, to me, this is a bludgeoning. I think Gannon's defense, I'm going to go on the record right now. You can clip this. I think Gannon's defense holds the Jets to single digits in this game.
Wow.
It's their best defensive performance of the year.
They got Tyrod Taylor now as their backup, right? A little bit better option than Zach Wilson, but at the same time, they're going through the Steve Keim school of roster building by betting on off-injured players. They brought in Tyron Smith from Dallas. They brought in Mike Williams coming off the knee injury from the Chargers. They've got that rosters littered, including their starting quarterback, as you mentioned, in Aaron Rodgers, that haven't exactly been examples of health this last couple seasons. And yeah, I think at home, the big opportunity for the Cardinals to get a dub going into the bye week in Week 11. Coming out of the bye, though, Johnny, then you've got a pretty decent stretch for the old Redbirds as they started on the road against the Seattle Seahawks, and you're on record as far as not being a big believer in the Sea Chickens.
Yeah, after starting the season 2-4, I have the Cardinals reaching and surpassing 500 in Week 12. I think they go into Seattle. I think they have their way with Geno Smith. I think there's a possibility Drew Lock could be. Is Drew Lock the backup to Geno Smith? No, he's in with the Giants. Who's that? Taylor Heineke. I think the Cardinals could see Taylor Heineke at some point.
It's the kid from Washington, Sam Howell.
They're all the same. It's all the same. Heineke, Drew Lock, Sam Howell. They're all the same. Put them on a map painting together. I think the Cardinals could see a backup in Seattle. They have not made any allegiance. They tried to trade up for Michael Penix in Seattle. I know that's for certain. And again, I like their receiving core fine, but to me, Seattle is the easiest team to say this year. Pete Carroll, Daddy Carroll's gone. Mike McDonald, old McDonald, good luck to you. I think the Cardinals, I'll just spoil it right now. They're going to sweep Seattle this year, and they're going to get to 6-5 right after the bye week. This is a team that you have to bludgeon this year, that you have to beat. You have to sweep Seattle. If the Cardinals want to make the playoffs this year, they should have swept Seattle last year. Let's be real. They had really good defensive performances last year. Kyler Murray should have beaten Seattle last year in Week 17. You got to take care of business against the Seahawks. They are about to go in a tailspin, in my opinion.
I wish I could just rubber stamp this one a dub. I think that there's absolutely the opportunity to sweep the Seahawks here. I think on the road, that ups the difficulty level a little bit. I hear what you're saying. The new offensive coordinators coming from the collegiate ranks. He was coaching Michael Penix in those that embarrassment of riches in the wide receiver room. And we don't know what Geno Smith's going to be about without Shane Waldron there. And then, Mike McDonald was brought in there to fix the defense, which has struggled horrendously the last couple of seasons. I just think this is just a tough contest for the Cardinals. I've got the Seahawks winning this game. But down the road, I think the Cardinals get some revenge.
So you've got them at 5-6. I've got them at 6-5. Now we are through 12 weeks of the season. Where will we end up? I'm going to tell you where you should end up. It's with our friends at Game Time, the premier ticketing app. If you're thinking to yourself, like, I want to go to some of these games, I didn't buy season tickets, what's the best bet? I'm going to tell you right now, using the bonus code PHNX, $20 off. That's your best bet. Check out all the premium deals for not only football, we got MLB action going on right now. See if the Diamondbacks can get it together. If you're like, oh, I just want to dip my toe in a little bit, they've got concerts, they've got parking passes, whatever you want. Hell, if you're able to splurge on some NBA playoff action, depending on where you live, not in Arizona, unfortunately, check them out at Game Time. And again, they prioritize procrastinators, last minute deals, save up to 60% buying last minute for, again, sports, concerts, comedy shows. Just went to a comedy show last weekend, cost nearly nothing because of my friends at Game Time. Plus, they've got these flash deals. Save even more with an exclusive in-app deal on select seats ahead of the game and the event. Plus, the zone deal, which is fantastic. All the deals, all the lowest pricing guaranteed, but you got to use the bonus code PHNX. And you got to dabble. You got to download our friends at Game Time. Get $20 off. It may cover your ticket, your entire purchase price. Last minute tickets, Bo, lowest price guaranteed.
Yeah, we're breaking down the Cardinals 2024 schedule and the future for this roster. Bright, so bright they need some shady rays, right? And also Johnny needs some to block out the haters in the chat as far as his early season record prediction.
Told you it would get better, friends.
It does get better. Let's put those rose-colored glasses on Johnny from Shady Rays. We love Shady Rays, and we're going to save you some money on your next sunglasses purchase. Premium polarized shades, 35% off. Does that interest you at all? Check them out. Use the code PHNX when you go to shadyrays.com and find out why over 300,000 people have rated Shady Rays 5 stars while buying online. Check them out. Save 35% while you're doing it by using the code PHNX at shadyrays.com.
Got the Cardinals 6-5 entering the home stretch here, week 13 at Minnesota. On the surface level, I like the Cardinals in this game, player for player, coach for coach. But the Cardinals haven't won in Minneapolis, ever. Like, tell me the last time that's happened. I don't remember.
I think.
Yeah, it just doesn't happen. So again, very similar to the Rams mindset. I'm going to break my rookie rule. I think Gannon should sweep all the rookie QBs this year. I mean, it could be Sam Darnold at this point. Who knows? Cardinals are losing this game. They just don't win in Minneapolis until I see it happen with my own eyes. They fall to 6-6. They're Kevin O'Connell's disciple, Shanahan McVay. That hurts the Cardinals. He's very, he got the most out of that team last year. They won 7 games, had no business doing that. So I like a lot of what they signed Jonathan Grenard this offseason. I just like a lot of what Minnesota does outside of trading up for an extra first when they didn't need to. And then they stole Dallas Turner in the teens. That's a very difficult environment. Great stadium, great people, great atmosphere. Cardinals fall to 500 after a week 13 loss, Bo.
Yeah, I think this is a tough luck loss as well against outside of the quarterback position. And I think if they find something in McCarthy, it could be really good for the Vikings. But too much going on defensively, and I'm with you. Until they prove they can win in Minneapolis, which last time, we were breaking this down in 2022 when we first started the pod together. And they haven't won there since like the late 70s. It's an unbelievable lack of futility for the Cardinals going on the road and playing the Vikes. So got them losing there. But now I'm looking at the part of the schedule where I think the Arizona Cardinals can start stacking some wins and chipping away and getting themselves maybe into a playoff conversation. They head back home, correct? Are they taking on the New England Patriots? Oh, I'm sorry, the Seahawks. This is where I say they get their revenge against the Sea Chickens, December 8th against Seattle. And I think that the Cardinals take care of business at home against Seattle.
We're eating good with our friends at Butcher Box. The Cardinals are eating good in the month of December. I mean, outside of the Minnesota game, Seattle week 14, that needs to be a dub. You need to be able to handle Mike McDonald and Geno Smith. You're losing to Mike McDonald and Geno Smith in the year of our football lords 2024. Then we're going to have some questions. And I love John and Gannon. Cardinals have a roster, I think, on par with Seattle. I think they have a better quarterback. And when you're playing at home, I already have them winning at Seattle. I think this is a game, again, you're going to be looking up. The Cardinals are just going to take care of business methodically. They've lost a lot of dumb ways to Seattle over the years. I think Pete Carroll is just way too undervalued. We're going to see that this year. Like Schneider, their general manager, is fine. They had a good draft 2 years ago, but then, their tackles last year regressed a little bit. Witherspoon, I think he's a physical player, but I like the Cardinals makeup more. DK Metcalf, I think Tyler Lockett, is there a shelf life with that relationship? Jackson and Jigba's a good player, but for me, the Cardinals are just a better team than Seattle. I think they have a better head coach, so you need to sweep them, and they do. Entering the final stretch here, they get a dub in week 14.
I agree. They get that win, and then they get to take on a team the next week at home that's going to be one of the worst rosters in the league. Another rookie quarterback, potentially in Drake May, third overall selection this draft. The New England Patriots come to town, 2:25 kickoff as it stands right now, and I think that this is a back-to-back wins for the Cardinals at home.
Easy. If you don't win this game, it's a complete and colossal failure. And excuse me, Cardinals lose games like this every year. Teams around the NFL lose games like this. You cannot lose this game if you're Jonathan Gannon. Drake May be a bust, cannot come to your stadium and beat you and Kyler Murray. Their roster is just not competitive. Like, I like Gerard Mayo as a former player. I think he's a high-level guy, and I hope he succeeds long-term. You are licking your chops when this schedule comes out. You are marking this as a win. You have to win this game. The Cardinals, if they win this game, based on our projections, will have gone 3-1 against the AFC East. And guess what? When you play in a division as loaded as the NFC West, you got to take care of business outside of the division. So Cardinals win this game. And for me, they start a nice little winning streak.
I mean, this is the first game maybe in the Jonathan Gannon era where the team can really impose its will on the other one. Like that they've had the better roster going into this game, and they might be fighting below a weight class here against the New England Patriots. And that it's unfortunate that it would have to take until week 15 of year 2, but that's how big this rebuild was for Monty Awesome for crew. And it's not that I'm not excited about it. I am, but this Patriots team is bad. This is a big opportunity for the Cardinals. And so is week 16 on the road, heading to Charlotte, taking on the Carolina Panthers, led by second-year quarterback Bryce Young.
Again, another should-be dub. Like, this is the end of the year. Listen, if you got Cardinal fantasy players, you're licking your chops at the end of the year. Kyler Murray hopefully hitting some incentives in his contract. Marvin Harrison Jr. going over 1,000 yards, bunch of tutties for Trey McBride. Like, you need to be eating this portion of your schedule. And guess what? Here's another dub for the Arizona Cardinals. Everybody's hating on your boy. And guess what? In week 16, they get their 9th win of the season, and they do so against the team in Carolina. Again, trying to build through free agency, trying to double down on Bryce Young. The mistake that was Bryce Young instead of CJ Stroud. The roster is depleted. They don't have quality wide receivers. However, they have Xavier Legette, and I'm a Xavier Legette stan, and I root for him. I think he's a great player out of South Carolina. He will not be enough, however, to overcome MHJ and company. Cardinals get another dub, securing a winning record in week 16. You love to see that.
Look at that. I've got the same thing, different journeys. We went on 2 separate journeys, Johnny, very different, but we got to the same spot after 15 weeks of play. Cardinals have 9 wins. I have it. We've got 2 more to go. You got the Arizona Cardinals taking on the Los Angeles Rams. This one on the road in LA. What do you think?
So I think the Cardinals find themselves in the second half of this year. I think their young players grow up and grow into their roles. I think the Cardinals pull off an upset against an LA Rams team that may be contending for the number 1 seed. The Cardinals have more to play for. The Cardinals, I think, putting together a 4-game winning streak at the end of the season. I could very much see this happening. Kyler Murray beats Matthew Stafford in LA. They're not ready to beat the Rams in week 2. I think they're ready to beat the Rams in week 17. They go 10-6. They beat Sean McVay, and they lock up a playoff spot before the last week of the regular season.
Wow.
The biggest win of the year, the biggest win of the Gannon era happens in week 17, and we're celebrating and partying here at PHNX Sports and in the Valley. The Cardinals are back to the playoffs with a 10-win season. I'd love for that to happen.
I would love for that to happen. I actually just think that the McVay teams, they don't lose games that they're supposed to win at that time in the season. That's why I think week 2 is the better opportunity. I've got the Cardinals losing this game, but it's going to be tight, right? You've got 2 at this point like really rock solid organizations just throwing down in Los Angeles. Two physical football teams. And I like what you said as far as the rookies. They're probably no longer rookies and aren't on the radar any longer. And we're seeing, the fruits of this 12-person draft class. And those guys are football, NFL caliber players across the board. But I think that, if you're just looking like pound for pound, Rams have the edge there and are more geared towards playing at that time of the year.
That brings us to week 18. And I think the Arizona Cardinals sit players this week. I think they get healthy. I think they get ready for the postseason. I think they play maybe Clayton Tune for a half. Who knows? I'd love to see some of the rookies play. They get to 10 wins and you rest up because their bye week 11 seems so long ago now. They've already punched their ticket. Again, I was not going to have them, like my co-host, losing the last 2 games of the season. I think you got to end the season with one of the 2 wins, either against the Rams or the Niners. And because it locks in a postseason spot and 10 double-digit wins for the year, I think they sit players against San Francisco. I think San Francisco sits players, and everybody's getting ready. I think the Rams win the division. I think the Cardinals and the Niners are wild card teams. And all 3 teams outside of Seattle in the NFC West go to the playoffs.
Yeah. I can't sit here and predict, whether or not they're going to be playing for number 1 seed or if they have anything to play with. I'm just looking at the rosters. I just think that the Niners just more talented than the Cardinals at this point right now. It's at home, but the Cardinals should at that point, you would hope, have everything to play for. I get the Niners winning this football game. And we'll get into what our total record prediction came out to, and we'll throw up the graphics there. But first, got to tell you about Butcher Box. Love Butcher Box. Going to go home and throw a couple chicken breasts on the grill from Butcher Box. It's free range organic chicken. Also got some pork raised, crate free pork ribs, also wild caught seafood, and that grass fed beef. Already got rid of the steaks. Already ate those delicious steaks. Can't wait for our next box to come in with some more upgrades and backups to the steaks. High quality cuts, amazing value, delivered right to your doorstep. It's as convenient as possible. And did I mention that the delivery is free? It's always prepared with meat in the freezer. Don't miss out on that. Curated tips and recipes based on your box that you choose. Check it out right now and save money while you're doing so. Use this link, butcherbox.com/PHNX. Use the code PHNX at checkout. You'll get free meat and $20 off your first order using the link butcherbox.com/PHNX for $20 off your first box and free meat using that code PHNX.
Putting a bow on our schedule release predictions. Again, 10-7 for your boy Damon Dawg. Let's see it. Johnny's thoughts. Hey, who doesn't love a playoff team in the desert? Arizona Cardinals go 10-7 after starting the season 2-4, but they get to that precious, elusive bye, 500. Again, 4-6, 5-5. If you can get to the bye at that mark, you're going to the playoffs because, again, Seattle twice, New England, Carolina. I think they eventually have to start winning games against LA and San Francisco, Bo, to be able to get to the postseason. So this would put them 3-3 in the NFC West. I just don't know how realistic it is to lose every game to McVay and Shanahan and think that you're going to be a playoff team, even with some of the cupcakes at the end of the year. So Cardinals take care of business. Jonathan Gannon, borderline coach of the year. Kyler Murray, Renaissance, Pro Bowl. How about Marvin Harrison Jr.? Let's throw it in there. Offensive rookie of the year, 10-7, officially stamp it, book it. Postseason. Let's see it.
Yeah, when you break it down, it gets you excited, right? And mine's just one win shy of what Johnny had. I've got the Cardinals going 9-8 in the 2024 season with a big win on the road to open things up. I like what you said about the division play because I completely agree. I've got a different path to 3-3 in the NFC West with a win right out of the gates against the Rams, splitting though eventually with LA and splitting with the Seahawks. And then losing to the 49ers. Actually, I guess that puts them at 2-4. So just one game under, a couple games under 500 in the division, but an improvement on 0-6, right? And just the win out of the gates puts you in that position. A couple tough luck losses to some teams that just have a little bit superior talent. And then, you take care of business here down the stretch against Seattle, New England, Carolina. You got to stack wins in that part of the season if you want to have a chance. And I think that middle stretch from like week 7 to week 10, If you can indeed go 3-4 in that, it's going to put you in a prime position coming out of the bye.
Absolutely. Again, like if you're telling me right now that the Cardinals have this season, I'm signing up for it. Like I'm not poo-pooing the fact that you have one less win than I do. I think anybody in their right mind would take 9 wins for the Arizona Cardinals this year. Jonathan Gannon privately would probably take that too. I mean, that's just a winning season after what they had endured last year and how it would be done. Kyler Murray coming back and taking this team by the baton and running with the opportunity to be the long-term quarterback of this team. Marvin and Trey and James Conner and Budda Baker in the final years of their contract. Like these guys, if it's really a swan song for some of these veterans, let's go out in style. Let's get this team to the postseason and let's have some sustained success. Now, Bo, you put together a very, let's just call it analytically heavy chart that you shared on social media today that really helps diversify and give some clarity here as it relates to what you can expect as the schedule progresses throughout the year.
Yeah, absolutely. Some big brain stuff here. Damon saw me in the lab cooking this thing up. It was borderline scary. It was atom cracking stuff. And I've got this weeks 1 through 6, just put tough. And then you've got weeks 7 through 10, kind of a wild card stretch. Damon contributed to that part. It was part of the math that I wasn't familiar with.
Well, when you think about those teams, right? So the Jets picked 10th, the Bears picked 9th, and the Chargers picked 5th.
Mm-hmm.
So those teams were all bad last year, but hypothetically on paper, all of them could be pretty good teams this year.
They could be bounce back candidates for sure. Ton of variables that go into that, like quarterback play for the Jets. Can Aaron Rodgers stay healthy? You know, what does Harbaugh bring to the table for the Chargers? And then with the Bears, you know, a lot of young stars on that team, including their quarterback, where, you know, I think sandwich in there, I think Miami, it's just a tough matchup on the road. And then you look at this one, the stack wins kind of segment of the season, where it's week 12 through 16. Seattle twice. You've got Minnesota with a rookie quarterback potentially, and then 2 bad rosters in the New England Patriots and Carolina Panthers in back-to-back weeks. You've got to load up on wins there if you want a chance. And then those last 2 games could be important. If you do stack wins, if you take care of business, playing against some divisional rivals to finish up the season, those could be some very important games for the Cardinals.
Could be important, may be important, hopefully will be important. You want the Cardinals, as Kyler Murray said last year, this is the last time that they don't play meaningful football at the end of the year. And that is exactly where they need to be heading into the month of December and January. Love the analytics. Love the breakdown, Bo Brack. Love that you put that together in Microsoft Paint today.
Deep in his bag.
I knew you would. Love the super chat here from our guy, Illadre, $4.99. Taking some shots. Isaiah Simmons, if he could cover, we would have beaten the Chargers last time. Absolutely. Did you see Illadre, Isaiah Simmons, and his, what kind of car was that?
That was a Cybertruck.
Cybertruck.
He had a matte white Cybertruck with white rims that he's going to take to the games each and every day so he can rack up a whopping 1 to 2 tackles. Fantastic for old Isaiah Simmons. He's been unlocked, I believe. I think the former 8th overall pick has officially been unlocked.
Unlocked as a coverage player on special teams.
as a mid NFL tween position player. I don't know.
Really cashed in free agency this year too. Like one of the first players to sign. Oh wait, he just signed. Okay, got it. What about those? Show? Are we looking at the spreads this year? Do we have it? Yeah, let's take a quick look. We do have
a bit of a gander at some odds.
Yeah. So looking at the spread right now, the most egregious spread right now is at San Francisco in week 5. The Cardinals are plus 9.5. So we saw that number a lot last year. We saw the Cardinals double-digit underdogs in a lot of games. Here's what we can put to bed this year. They're not an underdog in every game. Mm-hmm. They're favored against Washington. They're favored against the Chargers. They're favored against the Seahawks. And they're favored against Carolina. That Carolina spread is great because it's the only true time. And they're favored against Minnesota, by the way. But Carolina in particular, if that game's at home, they're favored by 4. If they're on a neutral field, they're favored by what, 1 or 2? So that's even though it's not the biggest spread hypothetically, the fact that that's on a road, there's a 3-point swing every time you go to and from on as opposed to at home and on the road. So Carolina technically is their biggest spread this year.
I want to put money on Cardinals -1 over the Panthers right now.
Yeah. Seems like a pretty surefire bet, barring, this team staying healthy in it with any of these games. But this compared to last year, Johnny and Damon, I mean, they were touchdown dogs in 10 spreads last year. So
and then it got like week to week, it got gross where it was like 11, 12, 13.
And they were never favored in any game last year, as you mentioned. And you look at some of these spreads that could sway the other direction where you sit like +1 against the Bears. If they get some wins that people weren't expecting early in the season, maybe they do beat the Rams that they're only 1-point dogs to, or they surprise in week 1 and set the tone then. Like you could see some of these real tight spreads sway in the direction of the Cardinals.
If Rodgers gets hurt.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm pretty happy with that Rams spread there.
Look at them. I mean, they're favored in 4 straight games here down the stretch that stretch that we deem stack wins territory from 13 through 16. If you can rip off 4 in a row at any point in an NFL season, you're going to be in a good spot.
And again, like their over under in Vegas is 6.5. Well, they're favored in 6 games on there, 6 or 7 games. So that's where they're getting that from. But again, like they're dogs in games that it's a field goal game. It's a 1 possession game. Like we didn't have that hope last year of, can we hang? Can we make it to the 4th quarter? Now it's usually like, okay, they put the Cardinals away and they ended up covering a lot of those robust spreads. So makes you optimistic. I'm optimistic about this team. I've been saying it, to anybody who's willing to listen on this podcast. I think the Cardinals have the infrastructure and they have the goods in the right places outside of pass rusher to make a playoff push. It's going to come down to Kyler Murray's play, especially early. And it's going to come down to Jonathan Gannon. And I think highly of JG, obviously friend of the program here. To me, at the end of the day, the NFC is just weak enough. And the NFC West has had enough turnover, coordinators, and now, Niners have a new DC, that Gannon and company, they can get that 6 or 7 seed and get into the playoffs this year. I really do believe that. I'm not blowing smoke.
I mean, Kyler Murray went 3-5, should have been 4-4 with one of the least talented rosters in the league last year. Yeah. I mean, you get the big key to any success that we predict on this roster. It goes, the route of number 1 on the Cardinals roster and his ability to stay on the field. And if Kyler Murray can play healthy football from week 1 to week 18, the Cardinals are going to be in a really good spot. And they're going to surprise a lot of people. And as Johnny mentioned, when the schedule was revealed, this offense is going to have to do some heavy lifting while the defense kind of figures some things out. Like how many new starters on defense have we predicted? Somewhere like it's like half, if not more. It's I think 6 new starters on defense.
It's at least half, if not more. And then you think about half, and then plus a bunch of rotational players. Like if Mac Wilson's not starting, he's playing a lot. If Powell's not starting, he's playing a lot. Or Nichols. They got a bunch of corners and safeties they got to integrate now. So the offense, though, I mean, it was already in really good shape, and then they just added like a big time. I'm not a car guy, but a big time engine. What's a good engine, Mr. Car Guy?
A Hemi.
Yeah, they just added a big time Hemi and some new spoilers.
You should do a different analogy. It just sounds weird.
They got the goods offensively, man. They could take that baby off roading this year.
Whoa.
Yeah, how about that? How about this
your head? Easy.
Josh, $4.99. How many receiving yards will my Sugar Plum Prince Marv have to take the season? How many yards will Kyler throw for? I'll take Kyler's throwing yards. Bo, you take Marvin's receiving yards. How many receiving yards for Sweet Baby Marv this year?
Oh man, I think he's going to be pushing 1,200 yards. When you've seen players of his caliber come out, whether it's a Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase with heavy expectations. I know Jefferson was a little bit under the radar, but I think that he very easily can eclipse 1,100 to 1,200 yards receiving this season. I don't think that's unrealistic.
1,200 is 67 yards a game.
Yeah, I don't think that's crazy. I mean, I think that's right in line with what Marv can do. I don't see a lot of games where we're looking in like, man, Marvin Harrison only had like 35 yards receiving, 40 yards.
They can't win if that's the case. I'm sorry. Like they need Marv. Newsflash. Yeah. Kyler's going to get to 4,000 yards even. He'll have his first 4,000 yard passing season. That's roughly about 235 yards per game. So I'm optimistic. K1. I mean, that's not very much. And I think the Cardinals, while they want to run more, they don't want Kyler to run as much. To be able to have him, it's going to be very methodical and intentional. They got to get him through 17 games this year. The deep ball, I think, will return in a big way. The play action passes to Marvin because the run game is going to be so dominant. I think Kyler gets right at 4,000 yards passing this year.
Yeah, plus 10,000 to lead the league in rushing, according to Owen. That's interesting. That's a good little bet. I mean, they're going to want to ground and pound it. They certainly are set up for success on the ground. But the thing about running the football is you can't be trailing. You can't, establish the run and stick with it if you're chasing leads. And, this defense is going to have to figure it out sooner rather than later, if that's the case, if you want to lead the league in rushing. I think that's why it's there. It's not necessarily like no belief in James Conner and Trey Benson and Kyler Murray and the offensive line. It's like, where are you going to be each and every game if you're chasing a touchdown, if you're trailing by a touchdown to the opponent? Like, can you sit back and not throw the football? No.
Tweak 499. We have Seahawk fans stating they'll sweep us again. That can't be possible, right, guys? Right? No chance. And again, like I know a lot of illogical Seahawk fans, and one of which works for this company, that their team is about ready to experience a major downturn. And I don't, Mina Kimes just told us she likes Mike McDonald last Friday on the podcast, but they're not replacing Pete Carroll and having success. I just cannot believe it.
They didn't bring in Drew Petzing from the NFL's Cleveland Browns as their offensive coordinator. They're bringing a guy from the college ranks. How often do we see college offensive play callers like immediately find success?
Joe Brady was can't miss.
Joe Brady was can't miss, and he was a disaster, right? Kliff Kingsbury was not good. I don't know. Find it. Like, I guess Monken went from Georgia to the Ravens last year, but like,
what about Sark?
Where did Sark coach in the NFL?
He was at Bama, and then didn't he become the Falcons OC?
He was okay.
Ooh, maybe.
He's all right.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy, Mike McDonald, has, I don't want to say leached. He's kind of leached off Jim and John Harbaugh. He's been with Jim since 2014. Then he went to Michigan and became John's DC. Then he went to the Ravens and became Jim's DC. I mean, when you're not around a Harbaugh, how do you do? I'm going to say not as good as when you're with them. I'm just my opinion. He was like a Georgia graduate assistant, and then he's just like with the Harbaughs this whole time. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I have immense respect for Jonathan Gannon. Why? Because he carried Nick Sirianni's corpse to the Super Bowl. That's and he and Shane Steichen took Nick Sirianni and Big Dom to the Super Bowl. Right? That's how, to me, it's how you know the guy's a high level guy. And again, I'm not rooting for people to fail, but if they are in the NFC West, I do root for you to fail.
Jonathan Gannon and Shane Steichen, they weakened at Bernie's Big Dom and Nick Sirianni to the Super Bowl.
Taking a Pop Warner coach to the Super Bowl is pretty impressive.
I mean, dude almost got fired after going to the Super Bowl. He was this close to getting fired.
Yeah.
Why? And the defense was atrocious.
Mm-hmm.
It's like how the biggest thing is like, what does your life look like? Your football life look like after you lose somebody important, right? Cardinals lost Bruce Arians. They were a laughingstock, right? Like the Philadelphia Eagles lost both their coordinators and just could not function at the end of last year. They were probably the biggest joke in the NFL for the last 2 months of the season. They had racked up enough wins early on.
When you watch how the Washington Huskies made their way to the college football playoff championship game, like, I don't think that offense plays in the NFL consistently.
I mean, the Pac-12 had really good defenses last year, but at the same time, like, you had Jalen Polk, Jalen McMillan, and, Rome Odunze just streaking down the field with a big arm quarterback.
Right.
Like, that's not the space isn't going to be available in the NFL.
Like, people love to hate on Shane Waldron in the offense he ran in Seattle, and there is frustration with that. But it's more of an NFL offense than, running go routes or streaks down the field and expecting that, Geno Smith's going to run that like Michael Penix did. Like, I know he's got the personnel. He's got Jackson and Jigba Smith, and he's got DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. But defensive coordinators in the NFL are way better than the defensive coordinators in the Pac-12. I know that's a hot take, but
yeah, I don't root for people not to do well, but it just added up together. Pete Carroll is a Hall of Fame head coach. You don't lose him and then say, well, we still have Geno Smith and expect me to take you seriously. And I know Pete Carroll is a defensive guy. Like, to me, it's like, we're going to see Geno Smith be Geno Smith this year. People are going to say, like, oh yeah, Pete Carroll is pretty good at his job. He didn't have a losing record after Russell Wilson got there. They did not have a losing record. He went 7-9, 7-9, and then just elite production. They're just in the playoffs every year, winning playoff games. They have one of the best winning percentages in pro sports since Pete Carroll took over. And now he left. He was forced out. He wants to still coach, and people think they're just going to pick up where they left off. And it's not Peyton Manning. It's Geno Smith. Come on now. Let's just be real. Let's be real.
Yeah.
I'm real fired up about this show today, by the way.
Absolutely. This is a fun show to just try to forecast the season here in May. But, a lot going for the Arizona Cardinals, a ton of them. And, we'll continue to do some more predictions. Like we did it impromptu as far as Marv and what his yardage could be and what Kyler Murray's. We'll do more of that. We'll get into James Conner. We'll have you loaded up for fantasy football season, which the Arizona Cardinals are going to be relevant in.
Sweet baby Trey McBride.
Oh,
12 tutties.
Who's a McBridesmaid this year? Who isn't?
Mina's a McBridesmaid. You asked her to walk you down the aisle as a McBridesmaid last Friday.
Field Yates is a confirmed McBridesmaid.
Is he like one of the most under the radar players, I think, entering the NFL this year? Is it's Kyler and Marv, and we're talking about that, and James Conner. It's like people forgot, hey, Trey McBride was not only the best player on the Cardinals at times last year, he was one of the best players in the NFL.
Mm-hmm. I mean, what the Arizona Cardinals are going to potentially throw you at offensively, it's tough to game plan for. You talk about mismatches. With Trey McBride and Marvin Harrison Jr., two big-bodied, athletic players, and then what they can do as far as running the football. It's just defenses are not going to be prepared on any given play for what they're going to be able to have to defend.
No. They have too much talent offensively to not make a postseason run this year. The only way, again, you can say this about most any team, if the Cardinals are not competitive this year, if Kyler Murray goes down, but if Kyler Murray's around and we're sitting here and it's like, let's just say it's Christmas week and Kyler Murray's been playing all year, we're feeling pretty good about where this team is headed. That's my prediction. Kyler Murray is not going to regress under Petzing as long as he stays healthy. He's only going to continue to do this like the end of last year, Bo.
Yeah. Arizona Cardinals officially announced Monday they'll have their first, they'll open up OTAs, voluntary OTAs. Could get our first glimpse of Kyler to Marvin Harrison Jr. Hope that happens Monday morning. But if it does, we'll have the video for you, PHNX_Cardinals on Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you're following along there. Follow our guy, Damon, Dawg, award-winning producer. Made all our great graphics today as far as our scheduled predictions and those sweet spreads. And also
except for your Canva, beautiful Picasso painting.
I got in on Microsoft Paint, went to town on it, and it's pretty elite. I'll admit it. I won't be too modest with that.
Don't be modest. Go and grab yourself some gear at the PHNX merchandise locker. It's the 18 collection. Again, we thank you for those who have grabbed some gear. Get it now, right now. Load up for this season with the MHJ Math Tee and the Maserati Marv t-shirt right now. It's available all sizes still. We haven't sold out of anything yet. But again, time will tell. Go get your deal. Become a diehard. Get that shirt for free. Go PHNX.com. Subscribe to PHNX Cardinals wherever you get your podcasts. We are back. Myself, Damon, Dawg, on a Football Friday talking about, you guessed it, sweet baby cards. And who knows, probably get some news between now and tomorrow. But in the meantime, for Bo, Brack, Damon, I'm Johnny Venerable. We'll see you mañana. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.